Welcome back to another episode of the Braun Performance and Rehab Podcast, powered by ISOFIT, Oro Muscles, and Firefly Recovery. ISOFIT is my go-to for all things isometric strength training. For more on ISOFIT, be sure to check out isofit.com. Oro Muscles revolutionizes rehabilitation with real-time actionable insights into muscle activity with live biofeedback and instant analysis, which has made a huge impact in my work with athletes. For more on Oro, be sure to check out oromuscles.com. Episodes like this are made possible by Firefly, the official recovery provider of the Braun Performance and Rehab Podcast. For more on Firefly, be sure to check out recoveryfirefly.com. Joining me today on the podcast is Julia Gilbreath. Julia and I got connected through our mutual friend Andrew, who, as you'll hear, played a very crucial role in her ACL rehab journey. Julia and I dive into her journey as a dancer, in addition to how she overcame an ACL injury and how she's back to doing what she loves now. This was a great episode, and I certainly enjoyed my time with Julia, and I know you're going to love hearing about her experiences. Enjoy. Julia, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to work with you today, and huge shout out to our guy, Andrew, for getting us connected and telling me all about this incredible journey that you have been on. But for people who maybe haven't heard all of the details, would you mind giving them a Cliff kind of Spark Notes version of who you are, all the incredible things that you've done, and all the things that you've endured and gone through over the last couple of years?
Yes, of course. I'm Julia Gilbreath, and I'm a D1A collegiate dancer at Sam Houston State University. I grew up dancing since I was almost as I could start walking, and I grew up in a very competitive studio type. And then I switched over to doing more ballet to better my technique and everything. And I totally had a switch from after ballet to wanting to be on a collegiate dance team, which is a totally different realm. But my senior year, I tore my ACL towards the end, and obviously that took a huge time away from dance. But right before that, I got recruited by Sam Houston to be on their dance team. And now I am a second semester freshman here.
That's incredible. And you hit on so many great things, and I'm really excited to kind of peel back the layers on each one by one there. And first off, just going back to how you kind of fell into this world of dance that way. You mentioned that you were at a competitive studio and then you switched to ballet and all that way. Where did that early interest in dance come from? Was that something that you knew when you were like really little, like, oh my gosh, I want to be a dancer. This is where I want to go? Or was that something that you just kind of like maybe were pushed into a little bit that way? Or how did we end up where we are today?
So I kind of was pushed more into it. My mom was a dancer growing up and like high school drill team director, so she kind of always knew like if she had a daughter, she would want to put her in dance. And so I started with, super easy ballet, tap, jazz, and I just never wanted to do any other sport. I tried cheer, I tried gymnastics, I even did like swim team, but none of them ever compared to when I was dancing. And I fully was just like, Mom, I only want to dance. Like, doing other things is not the move, and I just want to dance. So I grew up at this one studio from when I was probably like 3 to 10-ish, and that's where I got like most of my main like competition experience and just doing every style. But then I switched to another studio, and I was there from 10 to all the way through my senior year. And at first, the studio was more balletic, so I got a super good base of technique. And I really wanted to be a ballerina when I started doing all of that. And I don't know what it was, but there was some type of switch that happened. And I was just like, I love ballet. I've gotten a lot from that. But now I'm like wanting to try something new. And so then I got into training for college dance and dance team, probably around my sophomore, going into my junior year. And now I am in a college dance team.
That's incredible. And it's so funny because your mom must have been so happy when she heard you say, I don't want to swim. I don't want to do any of these other things. I just want to freaking
Yeah.
dance. And as you were talking, you said, super easy ballet, tap, jazz. And in the back of my mind, I was like, those things are not super easy. Oh my gosh. If you ever seen someone go on point, like my feet hurt
Yes.
just watching that. And you were probably doing that when you were 10, 12-ish years old, roughly. For people who aren't familiar with like the different types of dance and what all goes into all these different disciplines, would you mind giving them a quick little crash course on the different types and what they look like and entail and what makes them a little bit more unique, if you will?
Yeah. So the main technique is ballet, and that is just very sharp and like precise. And when you're like in a ballet class, you have to like have a certain type of confidence in yourself because, you're obviously staring at yourself in a mirror the whole time. And the teachers in ballet are usually more strict just because it has to be a certain way. There's other styles that are more like relaxed and you can kind of be yourself in it, but in ballet, you have to be super, stand up straight and it has to be a perfect certain way. But that is really like the main form of dance that kind of makes everything better, if you say. Like if you don't have ballet technique, if you haven't taken a ballet class before, it's going to be really hard to do the other styles. My favorite styles are jazz and contemporary, which jazz is more like upbeat, like, just normal, like fun radio songs. And it has some technique to it, but it's more relaxed. And same with contemporary. Most contemporary is not sad, but it's more just like calming music. It's kind of like you can just totally be yourself in contemporary. Like there's no right or wrong way to do anything in contemporary. Let's see. Tap is fully just using your feet. Like you have a shoe and there's taps on your toes and then taps on your heels, and you literally only dance with your feet, which that's really hard. That's probably one of the hardest styles to do. And then there's hip hop, which I feel like hip hop is not every dancer's favorite just because it's hard to like kind of find your groove and find your style with it, but it is still really fun. It's just like hip hop, rap music, stuff like that.
A little bit of a
Um,
different vibe than some of the
yeah,
other ones.
yeah. That's pretty much all. There's ballroom, which I have done before. It's not like a main style. Ballroom is more like if you only want to train in ballroom, then you only do that. But that is more just like salsa type. But yeah, that's mainly all the styles that I've
Yeah.
done.
It sounds like ballet really lays the foundation for all
Mhm.
of the other things based on what you said that way. And having that skill set kind of allowed you to go into these other disciplines of dance, if you will, and find the success that you have.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that one of the things I've noticed from watching dance and watching different things in the past that way is it tends to be very artistic in nature. It's this combination of high sport demand, but making it flow and seem almost effortless, if you will.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, I don't know how you all do that because I look at some of the stuff y'all do on one foot, on your
Mhm.
toes, jumping, leaping through the air. You probably have a much more technical term for it, arabesque or something, maybe. I
Yes.
really, is it actually it?
Yeah, there's an arabesque. That's a
Okay,
thing.
perfect. I'm just, yeah, I really don't know the terminology whatsoever, but it's just so impressive to watch. When I flip the TV on and I throw lacrosse or football on, I love those sports. They're great to watch, but there's not the same level of effortlessness,
Mhm.
artisticness, and flow that goes into it. It's almost more like a carefully curated kind of thing that you're putting on, and you've prepped hundreds, if not thousands of hours for this one specific performance that
Yeah.
lasts a couple of minutes, but that couple of minutes is just like poetry in motion, if you will, that way. And I think that makes dance just so different than a lot of these other sports that a lot of us find ourselves looking at.
Yes, most people they think not that like dance is not a sport because there are some people that say yes, dance is a sport, whatever. But I think because it is so artistic, most people think like, oh, that's more in like the arts, like with music and acting and stuff. But if you really watch dance, like, and if you're a non-dancer and you try to do a skill, you quickly realize like, wow, okay, dancers are actually crazy sometimes. Like the things we do with our bodies is crazy. And most people just think it's like because we make it look so easy, they're like, "Oh, I can try this. Like I'll be fine." But that is one of the main things I love about dance is you can kind of just do whatever you want. Like if you're on stage, if you're performing, if you're competing, you obviously have a set dance, but you can really make it your own to make yourself look better so that like it literally just looks like you're flowing and just trying to create something on stage instead of like it being like a sport. It just looks like you're creating like a masterpiece of something.
Yeah, it adds that creative element to it. And
Mhm.
you can kind of have this vision for what you want it to look like and then kind
Yeah.
of put that vision into reality, if you will, that way. And obviously, that's where folks like the choreographers come in and kind of help pair
Yes.
all that up and get the music just right. And I'd imagine, is it still 8 counts for everything?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's like just getting used to like what you do on one and two, and then the next 8 count and so on. Like there's just so many little details that go into that. And you
Mhm.
mentioned too that you shifted from that ballet that you were doing back to like the college dance style. And I'd imagine that was another period where it's like all these little details still matter, but it's just very different
Yes.
going from that ballet style. And you even mentioned you wanted to be a ballerina to
Mhm.
now we're going to dance with a college team that way. What made
Yes.
you want to go college dance route instead of ballerina route? And what really kind of like sparked that shift? And what is the difference between the two that way, if you will?
So I pretty much found out or like realized that I wanted to be a collegiate dancer probably when I was 16. There was kind of a shift in my studio where they stopped doing just mainly ballet and kind of went more into like the jazz contemporary route. And we started competing in all of those styles, and I would have solos of those styles and everything. My main thing that I think really made me want to be in a college dance team is seeing the style that college does. In college, obviously, our first semester is kind of more football season and doing sideline stuff, like cheers. And during halftime, we perform a dance, usually jazz or pom, which pom is very sharp. Like you could do two arm motions in one count. It's that fast and sharp. And then you do a turn and then right into a leg. It's super, super sharp. And so that's kind of the first semester of college. And then the second semester is more competition season, which, at least for the team I'm on, when I saw teams compete, I was like, whoa, this is a totally different style than I even thought. Because my mom had like introduced me a little bit into college dance just because it was a little more of her background, and I never got to experience that. And so once I saw it, I was like, okay, this is first of all something super new and something that could be super challenging, but like I wanted to put in the work and wanted to try to be on a team that was just super at the top, really, really good, really, really strong. And so going from ballet to college dance, it wasn't as hard as I thought, just because ballet literally trains you so well for every form of dance. But there was a shift, obviously. I had really good mentors that had been on college dance teams that I found in my hometown, and they really, really trained me. I was in different classes every single week with, choreographers, with people that were on college dance teams. I even went to NFL teacher classes because they kind of had the same style of palm that I was needing to be on a college team. And so that helped me so much. And then for dance team, you can actually go to clinics, which is kind of similar to the sports. Like they go to like a football camp or something like that. Um, and so I just kept on going to like different schools. I didn't really know for sure where I wanted to go, but I was just trying out any school to see like what I liked and what I didn't like, whose coach I liked, whose like competition piece I liked more. And I really just tried to find a team that, first of all, I like love my coach right now. And then also just like when I first saw Sam Houston compete, I was like, okay, they are my style. I love what they're doing, everything like that. But I will say from ballet to, pom and collegiate dance, it was super hard, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because I love where I'm at now. And I know for a fact I would not like ballet as much if I kept on doing it, just because I feel like I probably would have gotten burnt out from it just because it is the same every single time. But with college, you get to try something new every almost like semester.
Yeah, it makes it very dynamic and it's
Yeah.
ever evolving that way. And just when you think you're getting used to it, it's like, oh, we're going to try this now. And you're like,
Yes.
can we even do that?
Yeah.
We're going to find out. I love that. What other things? Because I talk with a lot of athletes who they were very similar situations to you where they're going different places and hitting up the camps and they're just trying to figure out what they value and what feels right to them. And that's something that I find a lot of athletes struggle with. So, what other factors really sealed the deal for you with Sam Houston?
As I talked about, I love the coach. She was just super, just welcoming. And the first time I came to a clinic at Sam Houston, the girls were super inviting. The environment, I was just like, okay, I really like it here, like the actual school part. And then once I started dancing, I fit in. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was just like a feeling that I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I'm trying to think of other things that stood out to me, but I feel like it was mainly just like seeing them compete and see them on Instagram and YouTube and everything. Just seeing all of their dances from the other years, I was like, okay, I think it was the main thing of their style that really made me like feel like I could fit in because they've had dances in the past where it's more like pretty contemporary and it's like to a love song, but then they started getting into more like kind of darker, like super sharp, like no lyric, just sound. And that stood out to me. But I think the main thing that stuck out to me that I was like, okay, I want to try Sam Houston is the style and what they competed in.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. If the style aligns and you've got good people there, a good team, a good coaching staff, I think at the end of the day, you have no choice but to full send it in that situation.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
love that you did that. But as you mentioned earlier, when you did commit and you're like, this is where I'm going to be, you had this little obstacle that came up in relation to an ACL tear that way. I'd love to hear more about that. How did you end up injuring your knee and what was the process like for you afterwards?
Yes. So I got recruited in the middle of April last year. And then I was just training. I was like, okay, I'm excited for my, new chapter. I was like on a high from getting recruited and, signing and everything. And then it was March 5th, which about a year ago. I was just in a normal dance class and I've had knee problems in the past with both of my knees. So I feel like my knee was kind of tearing every time, like, oh, I would say my knee is hurting, something happened. I feel like it was tearing like after a year, every single year something would happen and it would tear a little bit. But I was in a normal dance class. I was in a hip hop class actually, and it was the most simple thing. I turned and then I jumped up and I literally stepped out and my knee went in and I knew instantly something was wrong because I've had not serious injuries before, but I have been out for certain things in the past. And I like tried to keep going with the dance, which I don't know how I did. I should have just stopped. But after I like walked off, I was like, okay, something's not right. Like I felt like I was gonna like pass out. I was like, I can't walk. It was really bad. So then the next day I went and got an MRI and everything, and they told me I had an ACL tear. And that was not what I wanted to hear. I just wanted it to, oh, you'll be out for like a month. You'll be fine. But the next option was surgery, which I've never had surgery before. So that was really, really scary for me. But then once I had my surgery, it was about a month after I tore it. And I did do prehab with Andrew actually, just to hopefully ease the process of rehab after the surgery. And that definitely helped a lot. I was pretty much kind of back to normal. I obviously couldn't dance, but for a normal person, I was walking, I was doing everything. And then I had my surgery. And then after that, I started PT, which that was a very interesting, like, time. And it was super weird because you don't think that you're going to lose your muscle that fast. And I just remember after my surgery, like the week after that, I couldn't even like lift my leg off the ground. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be out for like 2 years. Like, how am I gonna do this? Um, so you don't know how quickly it can just like literally change your life and just everything be gone. So it also didn't help that I was a senior because I had to miss a lot of things for school, for my dance studio, everything like that. Like I had to miss my last competition. So the week before I tore my ACL, actually, I didn't know was going to be my last competition. So I had that, not being able to do everything. I did have amazing people to help me with PT. Obviously, Andrew was my main guy. And he did literally everything in his book to try to get me back as soon as possible. So I worked with him all throughout summer. And then I went off to college in August and I had PTs here. I wasn't working with anyone like at the school, like athletic trainers here. I was working off someone off campus. But then this semester I started working with the athletic trainer on campus, and that has really helped. He's been amazing. And I've slowly gone back into dancing. And then I believe 2 weeks ago I got cleared. So now I'm fully back and I'm dancing again, and literally everything is pretty much normal. And it's my 1 year on April 4th. So I'm about 11 months right now. So yeah,
How are you going to be celebrating that 1 year anniversary?
I don't know. I mean, I will be dancing to get ready for competition, but maybe a dinner, something.
You deserve something really fucking nice.
Yes, yes.
It's it's incredible to hear you outline your journey that way, and you hit on so many points that come up so often when I'm talking with athletes is there's just this emotional roller coaster that comes with an ACL injury. And as you mentioned, they often feel like they're gonna pass out, or there's a lot of crying and tears that occur, sometimes
Yes.
even in physical therapy from time to time. It's just such a roller coaster, and it's just something that just kind of shatters everything temporarily. You've probably never gone 9 to 12 months without dancing before
No,
this. And
never.
now part of your identity being in dance, you're like, what do I do now? What
Yes,
does life
yes.
look like for me? So I'd imagine it was just this huge paradigm shift, but it sounds like you responded really, really well to it that way. What was kind of your secret to keeping that positive mindset during that time, if you will?
Yeah. At first, I was obviously very sad, very devastated that my senior year was kind of gone away. And just in general, like that happened to me. Because, yeah, as you said, dance was my identity and it was fully taken away. I really don't even have a secret to how I became so positive. I really think it was just surrounding myself with all the people that I loved, because obviously every day I was really just going to PT, coming home, having a break, doing some more PT at home, and I didn't really do much. I had to find like other hobbies at home, but I think the main thing for me was just trying to spend time with the people that I love most, like my family, and then also like my friends that were still at the studio. I tried to go up to the studio all the time to see my teachers again, to sit in class, which sometimes that did get kind of like, okay, this is sad, like watching my friends dance and I'm not up there. But for the main part, I was super positive, and I think it's because of who I surrounded myself with. And also, Andrew was very helpful with that because he saw me break down a lot, not only in PT, but just like in general. Even before like my ACL tear, we had just like bonding moments all the time. And I would say he definitely helped me have a positive attitude about it, just because he was always like pushing me not only to get better with my knee, but he just always had a positive attitude. Like, you will be back. Like, you can do the work right now, but you will be back. Like, it's not like you're never going to dance again. And now that I'm here, it's crazy to think about because for a little bit, I did have the mindset of, okay, I'm never going to dance again. Like, why am I getting the surgery even? The positive attitude definitely helps because I think I would be in a different place right now if I didn't.
power of the positivity and just those regular reminders over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
sometimes it takes saying it to yourself thousands of times before you
Yes.
fully grasp it. Like, hey, I can come back from this. I've got this. We've got this.
Yes.
And I think to your point, choosing the right people to surround yourself with and making sure that they're on a mission to help lift you up to higher ground is absolutely essential. And I think it's really cool how you mentioned, it might not have been how you pictured to be involved in dance, if you will, but just being there around your team at your studio. And if
Yeah.
nothing else, just being involved in the sport in some capacity, even if it's just watching, because I've noticed a lot of athletes just completely distance themselves from their
Mhm.
sport when they're injured. And I
Yeah.
think the more we can just push to get you involved in some capacity, even if it's just being there, even if you're just
Yes.
kind of mentally watching and going through the motions in your head and not physically actually doing them, I think it just kind of helps bridge that gap when it comes time to get back to your sport that you know and love that way because you've kind of never left it in a way. You've always been a part of the studio or around your team. And I think it's a lot harder to do that when you distance yourself for almost a year and then try and get back into it. I think the more that you stay involved, the better off that process is going to be. And to your point as well, I think it's also good that you kind of had this like team of individuals that you worked with. You had PTs at school, ATs at school, you had people back home, and it's like you kind of developed your own little high performance team to help get you
Yes.
back from this injury that way. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes could definitely take note of and learn from. It's like, it's not all going to fall on one person. There's not one person that can do this whole thing for you. It's, hey, I've got to assemble kind of like my little Avengers squad here of the people that are going to help me get back to what I want to do. And as long as those people all have the same goal in mind of how can we best provide for you and help you and get you back to what you want to do, then you're going to be okay at the end of the day.
Yes. I think from a lot of athletes, because I have talked to other people that, have had serious injuries or surgeries, and I feel like most people at first think, okay, I'm like totally alone with this. Nothing's gonna help. I'm the only one that's, hurting right now. Nothing's gonna help. But the fact that I had all of those people and resources I'm so grateful for. Obviously, my main person was Andrew. Not only did he push me and everything, but I do think you have to do a lot of work on yourself too, because this is a time that you're given, a huge, long 9 to 12 month recovery of just focusing on yourself, if that's mentally, if that's physically. I think that also really helped me is kind of just trying to better myself to then, have my physical health be way better when I'm cleared and, everything like that. But then also with dance, I think even though I wasn't just doing PT, I would do stuff on my own, but then I would be in super easy, like 12-year-old ballet classes at my studio, and I would do just plies and pondus. And that's like the only thing I would do, which is basically just like bending your knee and straightening your knee. So I got back into dance probably 4 months, 5 months into my PT and everything. But I think the main thing that helped me was still trying to be in dance. As you said, that doesn't mean, you're in your cast, but you need to be doing hip hop still, But it was just like the little things of, okay, I'm gonna try to do this today, and then next week I'm gonna try to do this again, and kind of just putting back dance a little bit every single time, like back into your life, but then also still going to PT, still trying to run again, doing stuff on your own, stuff like that really helped.
Yeah, it's stacking those small wins over time, over and over and over again. And I think that a lot of the times athletes, they focus on the big things, like when they get to go back to sport fully, but they often miss those small little wins, kind of like you outlined along the way that way. And it's like, you'll have something small to celebrate every single week throughout that
Yes.
process. So definitely do not neglect those small wins that occur throughout your kind of rehab process and rehab journey that way, if you will.
I feel like the main win for me at least was running again. I was never much of a runner before, but when I could walk again, that was obviously a huge celebration. I was like, oh my gosh, I can walk again, which is a crazy statement. But then once I started, doing more balance exercises. I got to do that again, and I was like, okay, this is more dance involved. And then when I started running it again, I was like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. And then there came a point where after running, I didn't really know kind of what PT to do because I did come to college. I was totally new to everything, and I had a great PT here. I just didn't fully know what to do because I was like, okay, I can run again, I can walk again, but I can't dance still. Like, what else do I need to do? And I feel like it was just a very weird time because I was like, do I need to start lifting? But then I was like, I'm not strong enough to do that yet. And so it was a very weird period of time. But then I slowly figured out, like, no, you need to do more balance stuff, more, maybe try to get into jumping a little bit. And then second semester, I really started just heavy lifting because for my surgeon, he was like, I will only clear you if your quads are the exact same size, which that was really hard for me, was just trying to get them the same size because your muscle does slowly go away. And so I would be like 50 centimeters, and then my bad leg would be like 43. And I was like, I don't know how to build this up. I don't know what to do. And then I just got into heavy squats and lifting and doing all of that. And now I'm cleared. So
We
it
love
definitely
that for you.
really helped.
We love that. I'm curious to hear more. You mentioned your surgeon that way. Who was your
Mhm.
surgeon and what kind of led you to select the surgeon, the graft option, all those different things that way that you did? Because I find a lot of athletes feel overwhelmed by
Yeah.
their options when it comes to selecting a surgeon that way.
Yeah. Andrew recommended my surgeon. His name is Andrew Dold, and he works at Star Orthopedics in Frisco, Texas. He was super helpful. He was super like almost famous for, doing surgeries on Dallas Cowboys and all these different types of athletes, Mav players, stuff like that. And so I obviously trusted him because Andrew told me to go see him. But then also just the fact that he worked on athletes, I was like, okay, he can get me the surgery, but he can also help me get cleared faster than I feel like just a normal surgeon would, just because they wouldn't know how fast I would want to be back. I don't know what the surgery is called, but it's where they take it from your quad and make it your ACL.
Yeah, a little quad tendon graft
Yes.
harvest.
Yes, so I had that one. And yeah, he was a super great surgeon. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And it's interesting you mentioned the quad graft because that's certainly something that's becoming more and more common that way. And each graft has pros and cons that way. And, I think that it's ultimately super essential for athletes to have the conversations with their surgeons and their rehab providers. And again, that team that we mentioned before, and ask them all what their kind of thoughts are, what their kind of opinion is, and so on that way, because this is definitely an area where you can kind of get lost in that overthinking realm or analysis by paralysis, where it's like, well, I could do the hamstring, or I could do the patellar tendon, I could get a quad graft, or I could do, the fourth door, I could go this route or something that way. And I think the more, comfortable you are in that decision and knowing what is best for you, the better off you're going to be because what's best for you might not be best for the next individual that way. And I think it's all about what makes sense to you at the time and what, really speaks volumes to you as like what your individual situation needs that way, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was super helpful. I didn't know any of the types of, what could be your ACL now. I didn't know anything like that, but I was definitely explained, and I chose to do the quad one. Um, but the main thing that I'm super grateful for is just the fact that he worked with a lot of athletes, and so that he knew, like, okay, we can get her cleared faster just because he knows the type of timeline that athletes are on.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's definitely a difference when you're working with athletes, and athletes are just a very unique population. They present with unique injuries. And like I said, no two athletes are going to be exactly the same. And I realize
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about kind of the past leading up to where you're at now at Sam Houston. Tell me more about where you're at right now. What are you studying in school? And are there any big competitions or that sort of thing coming up that you're preparing for?
Yes. So my major here at Sam Houston is fashion merchandising.
I love that.
Most people don't really know what it is, but it's basically the fashion and marketing and PR side of it. So I would love to go into a realm, in New York City or something, doing the marketing side of that and maybe even doing like social media stuff with that. So I really love the major as of right now. Um, and I also am doing kind of a minor in dance. We have a very good dance program here, and I obviously wanted to get my knee better. And so, second semester, I started taking ballet and modern in the dance program. So, I am kind of a dance minor too. So, I'm getting some other things done. And then for dance team, we are called the Orange Pride Dance Team here. And for competition season, we go to Daytona Beach, Florida every year. And it's the middle of April this year, and it's the NDA college dance competition. And it's the like Super Bowl of dance, basically. And we're there for about 3 or 4 days, and we do a jazz dance and then we do a team performance dance. And we just got into the D1A division last year. So now we are kind of on a different realm. So in D1, 2 years ago, we have been winning, I think, for like 20 years. Like we were on a streak. We won every year. And then last year we got first in team performance, first time being in D1A, and then third in jazz. So we made history, being the, first in D1A and winning with one of our dances. So we are hoping this year that we can get 2 titles of first. So we will see.
I love that. I love that. It's going to be a new challenge, a new set of opportunities, but it sounds like, to use your term, the Super Bowl of dance events. This is going to be incredible for you. What are you most looking forward to about this competition?
I'm excited for just the new competition space. Obviously never competed as a college dancer, and I've never done anything like this at all. They do have a high school one, and most people on the team did do that when they were in high school, on their drill team and everything. But I never did that, so it's fully a new thing once again for me. But I am excited to just find something new, and I'm excited to just go with my team and like feel that bond and feel just the presence of that competition.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an incredible atmosphere and environment to be around that way. And it sounds like you have so much to look forward to in regards to that. And I can't wait to hear about how it goes for you and your team and the success you have and how you're going to shape it up for next year as well. Because I've noticed
Yes.
in the dance world, there's never good enough. It's
Mhm.
always, what can we do next year that'll be even
Yes.
better?
Better.
Like
Yeah.
we did great, but you know what? Next year we're going to try this, or we're going to do that. And there's all this like excitement and energy that builds around competition. And I absolutely love that. And even just going back to your major for a second, I think that's absolutely incredible. And it's so unique because I don't meet a lot of people that want to kind of find their way into the fashion space. But I would imagine your career as an athlete has kind of helped mold and shape you for success in that, or realistically, whatever you get into
Yeah.
after college, if you will.
I did at first want my major to just be like a marketing or business degree, just because I was like, I kind of am coming here for the dance team and I wasn't really focused on school. But then once I like found that major, I was like, okay, I could totally see myself doing that. Even if, I don't do something in the dance realm professionally, or even if I do, I could totally just see myself just working for a fashion company, something to do with marketing for it. And no, dance has definitely helped me. I've always been into fashion, but I think because of like dance having all the costumes and the bling and everything, I think that kind of made me fall in love with it more. And I was like, okay, I can totally see myself like stoning a dress for a fashion company, like something like that. So yeah, I definitely think dance has helped me kind of find my path for like a school
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm certainly no expert in the fashion space, and the athletes that work with me will laugh at me saying that because I'm pretty sure I wear a pair of black athletic shorts and just whatever hoodie is on the top of my pile every
Yeah.
single day I go into work. But I believe there's like different kind of subsets of the fashion space. Like you could go kind of more like your like high-end luxury type stuff or your athleisure type stuff or even like your like country western kind of look. I'm just kind of spitballing at this point, but what kind of subset of the fashion space do you want to kind of see yourself in the future? Is it going to be a little mix of all of them?
hmm I think I could do a little mix of everything. The first thing that does come to mind is working in luxury, just because I think that's just like it's so bougie and it's just so like chic and it just like aesthetically it's so pleasing to me. But I can also see me like doing something for, athletes or working out, kind of like a Lululemon type thing.
Like a more bougie version of it, though.
Yes, yes. But also I can see it like being not made for dancers, but like certain stuff you would want to wear at practice, something like that. I can also see myself doing Western wear because I am from Texas, so I can see that. But there is a lot of different realms I could go into. I can kind of see myself at anything though, but the main thing is probably the more luxury
Yeah, I
type.
love that. I love that. And since you brought up that you're from Texas, I totally forgot. Line dancing. I'm assuming you've gone once or
Yes.
twice.
I actually haven't gone once.
Really?
I haven't, no.
That surprises me, actually.
Yes. I have always wanted to, but I never have. I've been to like country concerts and everything, but I've never actually been line dancing.
So after you all crush it this year in Florida,
Yes.
the celebration for winning a dance competition is going to be more dancing, but maybe
Yes.
some line dancing this time, something
Oh
different.
yeah, totally.
No, that's awesome. I think, this would be really good for the plot, in my opinion. I think it'd be awesome if we could get some clips of Andrew attempting to dance.
Oh, we could get
We
those.
could
Yeah.
get those. He
Yeah.
might need some lessons, I think.
He definitely would need lessons, but I think we could get them.
I think we need to make this happen now, Julia.
No, yeah. Next time I go home, I'll give him a lesson. I'll send you videos.
I'm looking forward to this. Andrew's gonna hate me, but uh,
It's okay.
this is what he gets. This has
Yeah.
been an incredible conversation, and I certainly really appreciate your time and loved learning more about kind of your world of dance that way, your rehab process, and how you've been able to kind of crush everything, all the obstacles that have come in your path, and get to this higher ground of life that you're in right now, Julia. Is there anything we missed as we were chatting today, or anything else you wanted to share with everyone?
I really don't think so. I feel like we've covered a lot, but the main thing I would say is if you're going through an injury, if you're even just going through a hard time, you got it. It's all gonna be okay. It is always end up being okay. Um, and I think just try to push.
For sure. I love that. For people who want to find out more about you and all the incredible stuff you're doing and keep up to date with all the great things that you and your team are doing in the dance space that way, would you mind sharing where they can find out more about you at?
Yeah, my personal Instagram is Julia G underscore dancer, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything like that. And then the dance team I'm on at Sam Houston is just Orange Pride Dance Team.
That's awesome. We'll link to all of that in the description below. That way, if you didn't quite catch it, you can just click there and see everything that Julia and her teammates are up to. Julia, this was incredible. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.